as much as we can, and it's a very unique group here when you think about what we're talking about in the sense of districts and partners in this effort. Throughout the next 2 days, and some partners and different groups will be coming in and out, I'm sure. I really hope you take advantage of asking your questions, even with staff, from Javier to Ms. Maiden to all the staff that will be coming in and out, our district coaches and our technology facilitators at the sites. You're going to have a full-packed, fun-packed, in-depth set of presentations, and we probably overfilled it, overbooked it in some sense. So we wanted to give you topics to be exposed to, and different even products, if you will. Elliot, I got to know Elliot Levinson, who spoke on behalf of the BL group, and Elliot's going to be speaking later this morning. Over the last few years, as I sit on panels with Elliot, to have a number of different products presented to us, and a number of different districts I serve with in terms of the technology. And with all of that, you know, I've said to you before, we are probably in the most exciting time in terms of how digital curriculum, how digital experiences can change districts like ours. And so this is the time, and I know when you go to summits and you go to different things like this, you're hesitant to sometimes ask the questions or whatever, but I really want to encourage you to do that. I want you to ask the questions and follow up during the break and talk to people. Everybody's here because they want to do something different in their district. Everybody's here because you're in that process. Everybody's here because they see the potential that technology can do for your communities that you serve. And so I really encourage you to do that, to break out of the shy mode, the reserve mode, and really, really learn. And that's probably my biggest message right now, because that's how we've learned. We've learned by going around, talking, learn by doing, learn by experimentation, and we take great pride in being innovative. That is a very important word for me, to take risk, to be innovative, to be a risk taker, and to really also believe that the power of this experience we're going through with digital curriculum and technology is probably the best opportunity we have to accelerate learning, to promote critical thinking and innovation, and really bridge the digital divide in the opportunities our community have that serve a poor community. And we are 86% low income, we are 90% minority, and you're not going to find a better case study in this sense, except in some of your districts like ours too. So let's begin framing this for the next 2 days and see where the intersections come with your districts and maybe even the topics. And if you're a presenter and you're here as a partner, I think that'll help frame the context for you too. Because we do have some of our partners that we work with right now, and you can see easily where the intersect comes. You will also have new partners that are presenting with us because we've heard them, and we really feel that they have something to offer. And you're going to have a chance to see, will that fit in your district? So, I don't know where we're starting right now. The integrated theme throughout, and I don't want to take it lightly, is marketing and messaging. Whatever you're doing, you may think it's the best thing since sliced bread. You may think everybody's getting it, but I want to make sure you understand you have to be able to tell people while you're doing it, this is important. You message, you market, and you really do as much as you can to let people know, and this is you. You know, if the world's watching us in Sunnyside, they're watching you too. And they're watching you in this replication. And so with your superintendent, who I've met all of them, I know they get it and they understand it, but I think there's got to be a concentrated effort to celebrate what's going on here. We hope to bring 4 more districts on next year, so there'll be 8 people replicating. And the reason we do this is because we really believe in what we're doing, and we believe that we learn together, and we learn with each other, and we experiment. So that's what's going to be happening in different ways. With our partners, and you see them here, we're going to be hearing from Google later today, but all of these partners you're going to be hearing from. The 2 special ones from BLE and to Atomic Learning. I don't see if we have all of these on here right now, and I apologize, but we will. Keep going. So it's important to me and it's important to you to frame where you are today and where you are with your challenges. And that's what we've done here. There are no excuses, it's just what it is. You know, our challenges with Senate Bill 1070, our funding, our image, our literacy rates. We could probably add a few more to these challenges in terms of where we are, but I think that's the context of what we're saying. Here's our demographics. We'll be pulling all your demographics, we already have, so that we can start studying this, if you want to use that word, in terms of using you as our efforts to say, how did this work? How did this change? And that's one of our goals, is to take 4 replication districts in different areas and to say, what has happened? So the odds, by any measure, often are against us, but we just use this as a framework, and we don't use this as an excuse of why we can't do what we're doing. No one would ever believe that a community like ours can do this. If you saw the old image, it was an image on the side where I had Senate Bill 1070, showed a lot of poor kids, Latino kids, with the background, if you remember that image. And this is what we've changed. This is my favorite poster. This is what we use. This is our brand. We're tech savvy and college ready. And we show graduates. We show kids. And the only thing we could add right there is technology. So my whole underlining theme here is marketing and messaging, how you're doing one-to-one, and why that is so important. And your brand, and your picture, and what that's going to represent. So whatever you've been using, and you all have something, you should start a new one to add to that brand, because you're going through a new experience. You're going through something that no one has ever experienced in terms of one-to-one technology in your schools. Many of you know this is how it all began, with giveaway awarding laptop computers to our students. So this is where it all started. It wasn't a one-to-one, it was you had to earn it to get there. Now it's become much more than that. You can go a little bit faster for me, Mary. Because many people have seen this, so I don't want to frame, I want to get to the one-to-one part. Graduation numbers, and here's my message here, is keep track of your data right now. Wherever you are, this is your year to keep track of your graduation data, your dropout prevention data. This is, you know, the irony right now, hold this, Mary, is not only keep track of the data, but keep track of the financial impact of that data. So graduation numbers, even though everybody talks about it all the time, and dropout prevention numbers mean you are putting money in that community in so many different ways. And people, we take it for granted, everybody hears it, you see all the studies on it, but every student that graduates, you have helped your community with their salaries that now they're employable, and with all those things, there's a value there. By keeping kids in school and not having them drop out, we have brought in $6 million to our community, and we say that all the time. We promote that all the time, and not many people keep track of it. Sometimes they don't want to, but this is very important. This isn't even a factor. If you all know this, because if you're in this room, you've heard these figures of how much you make if you stay in school and how much you make if you go to college. And all of those are figures that you should do and use. And as a replication, we're going to be working with you on that. You know, let me bring this home to you right now. We passed the bond last year, $88 million. We lost an override just last Tuesday. We went for it for the second time. It didn't pass. We have to go back again. But you know the difference where we will be losing $2.5 million in our override next year. But because of this, we'll be gaining $1.8 million with new open enrollment. And so we're going to break even in all of this, and that's how we can keep the one-to-one going. But that's with marketing. By telling people we're unique, by telling people come to Sunnyside. We lose some kids that choose other schools, but this right here is what's going to keep us going. We're going to go for the override again, but all this is about budget, all this is about marketing, and this is about how you can strategize. So when I meet with my association and my IVB today, we're going to talk about this and how we have to keep going with one-to-one. Because there's going to be 100 reasons, if you go one-to-one, why people will say, you can't do it, we can't afford it, you know, this is too costly. And it's your job, if you're here today, if you're the superintendent, if you're anybody part of that, that has to keep making this keep going. How you have to keep going with this investment of all of this. Go ahead. We just talked about this from Dropout Factory to a tech-savvy district, and these are some of our different initiatives, and I'm sure you're going to have different ones, and that's what you want to do. You just want to put it together in terms of what you see and how you want to do it. Go ahead. I want you to hear this one a little bit, because this one's a big one for me and all of us.
My mom's a single mom. And it's just me and my mom living at home, and I had to get a job to help her. And I had a full-time job, and it was school and work, and school has its own hours, and my work was giving my own hours. If I didn't get to work on time, I would get fired. So I just decided to help my mom and leave school behind, because I always thought, well, GED is fine, but it's really not. I don't think you can get as far with the GED as you can with the high school diploma. The Dropout Recovery Program is a great program for students like me who have a job, who have to take care of their families, and still want their high school diploma. I can do everything I want to do to graduate, and I can do it at home, on my time, whenever I can.
You know, I just want to emphasize this because with all the districts here, and even with our foundation, this is something that right now I truly believe that no district in America today needs to have a dropout any longer. I think right now, anybody who says that I can't stay in school, I can't make it, needs to go through an effort of dropout recovery and dropout prevention and dropout experience. In other words, online. They could take a computer home, and they could take online courses, and they could stay in school. There's really, failure is not an option is so true today, better than ever. And that's one of our major commitments right now. And the other thing, and many people may disagree, but did you hear her? It's not enough to get a GED, and that's so true. You know, we keep talking about GEDs, options, but that's not going to keep us going and keep them going for a job. Not in the same way. So this one, to me, even especially as we do one-to-one, especially as we do technology, is that it should be, this is dropout recovery, but it's really dropout prevention. It's really talking to kids so they can take home a laptop computer to stay in school, sign it up, and go online to take a number of different online courses. And that's something that right now, that if we talk about anything, is that the replication group should really look at that. What do you do in your district for dropout prevention and keeping kids in school? Okay. So, again, marketing, and again, message, and again, are you in this race to win? And we talk to everybody about this, that this is so important, that in the one-to-one, because now you're really talking about one-to-one, and you may have different views of this, but we really believe that every student needs a computer. Grades 3 through 12 in our district, and you have different people saying, now the question is about devices, because it's iPads or computers. we'll talk a little bit about that later, but right now, as we're hearing more and more people, I don't think the conversation's about one-to-one anymore. It's about the device of one-to-one because they're coming so fast and they're becoming so costly. We've already talked about this. This is the part of our Choose Sunnyside, our image, our marketing. We do monitors in every school. The one thing I mentioned here is I would emphasize here is that your marketing should take new strategies. We have a parent app on our phones now, so we communicate with our families. We have monitors in every school. We promote this throughout, so you'll see. But it's the key with the technology. And the one thing I can't say we're really good at yet because we're experimenting. But think about grades 3 through 9 right now. Keep going, Mary. We all have the technology going home, all the computers going home. But we have to find new ways of getting the message out and new ways of communicating. So what I'm getting at is we know there's a market there to send home. We just haven't figured out how to do that yet. The app aside, there is a way that we can talk to parents better than ever before with that computer going home. This is another example of innovation and setting it up. We're working with the Native American Advancement Foundation, and this is I just have to say how excited we are with them. They're working on the reservation in villages. They don't have the facility. They want to re-engage many of the Native American students who have dropped out of school, who aren't going to school any longer. And so we came up with this idea, and so we have this van that we purchased, and it's going to go to the reservation with the Guvo Foundation. It's going to have Wi-Fi, it's going to have laptops, and at every village it's going to be driving around to bring the experiences of this, online experiences, digital curriculum, to the village. In a very remote area, they're going to have online. And so it's all those, this is marketing, this is messaging, and this is never giving up. This is just in the news with Tech and Learning, and this sounds a little bit of self-promoting, but I'm going to say it anyhow. You need to apply. You need to nominate people for awards. You need to look at your district, and you need to be able to get in the press as often as you can, because the press is not going to come to you. You're going to have to give the press the news. You being part of the replication is news. You talking about this is news. We have done a very good job of promoting our people, our success, and our district. We're hosting the Arizona ASTE Technology and Learning Conference. We serve on a number of panels. We present any chance we can. And your presentations right now, you should be looking at them. How can we talk about what we're doing as a replication? How can we talk about Kokomo? How can we talk about all these things? So you're going to hear some of this stuff as we go along in terms of this.
Using tools that we were using 50 years ago is totally inappropriate.
There's content. When kids have access to computers and the internet and all the great rich resources at both home and school, it enables you to teach in new ways, assess learning in new ways.
We saw things like students' engagement increasing, their motivation, their test scores.
Student achievement, increased teacher productivity, even increased parental engagement.
You see increases in attendance because kids are proud to be there, they're happy to be there.
Where the one-to-one was implemented in the high school, our discipline has decreased 30%.
4 years ago, it was 505 when we graduated. This year, we're going to graduate 900 kids.
This will increase learning. It will increase the learners' engagement in school, and it will prove revenue positive.
Intel is really proud to sponsor Project Red because we think this type of research is absolutely critical to the U.S. education system becoming better, more economically competitive, and really positioning the United States as a future leader in a knowledge economy.
In practical terms, for Idaho, Project Red has been huge because it's done a lot of the legwork, it's done a lot of the research, it's done a lot of the data mining.
This is the type of thing that every school, every district can accomplish with the right vision, with the right set of tools, with the right set of leaders. they can make this happen for their students as well.
I've never seen the opportunity in history where we're able as districts to really eliminate dropouts, to triple your graduation rate, and to improve the lives of children than in today's world.
This was a new video we just participated in, obviously, with Intel and Project Red. So this is our vision and articulated through the video. Anywhere, anytime, one-to-one, how we can look at learning accelerated. This video is available to you. If you'd like it, Mary can make sure you can get this, both this PowerPoint and everything. So, any questions on that video? Anybody right now? I mean, let's just pause a little bit before we're going to now go into our one-to-one. That's kind of our background. I think we framed it as we close with this video on so many different ways. What did that, I just got to pause because you're going to go back to work now. What does that video say to you? What would you like to do better in your district, and that video might prop for you? Anybody? Or as you're working with districts, because this is corporations too, and your partners and everybody, you know, what do you see or you don't see in terms of that video? Because I think they really did a good job of having so many different people speak. I don't know if you caught the First Lady from Idaho. The state of Idaho is going one-to-one, the whole state. The whole state. And ironically, they ran into turbulence. And because they wanted to do it, and they couldn't keep up with the challenges of wages for teachers and salaries, there was a huge backlash, because what the Idaho was going to do is take the money that might have gone for teacher salaries and moved it to the one-to-one initiative. And as you can imagine, there was a huge resistance to that. And rightly so. I mean, that is going to be a hard way to sell it. So they modified their approach, and I think they're only doing 9th grade right now instead of the whole state. But that's a whole state there doing it, not a district. So comments, I'm really anxious to hear, are those things realistic for your district? Are those things that you can do in your district? Because for my staff, they've heard this, and every one of those things I believe we can do and we need to do. But anybody? Carolyn first?
Well, I can share what we're doing in the Midwest as far as, you know, taking this message and the model here, Sunnyside, beyond across the country, places where they didn't think it was possible. And we're in conversation with the Intel folks, some of the people were interviewed. I've been talking to them. Patty was one that we worked with before. Now she's
Patty Colvin.
Now she's national. And we're discussing how can we take this in Wisconsin and Indiana, and how can we work in partnership, work together. So I think it just, you know, really personalizes what can be done with one-to-one, taking a district from where you were to where you are today, and now going to replicating to places that where they don't have to reinvent the wheel. So that is, you know, inspiring conversations and relationships in Wisconsin and other places that would not have otherwise. So I think the video really is very compelling to get other districts really motivated to get started.
And to get the conversation going about these concepts of one-to-one. The other one there is that I wanted to mention is the cost savings. And you've heard it before, you'll hear it in Project Red about what you're doing right now. People want to align always to new costs rather than what you're saving, and that's a big one. That one you can't underestimate. Elliot, I mean, Elliot is on a national circuit of bringing a lot of different groups together and a lot of different CIOs. Elliot, would you mind commenting on this?
Yeah, I actually have a question for you and for the districts in the room. I thought that the vision for Sunnyside and the kind of overall transformation through technology vision are very articulate and really good. However, does each district has to have its own that you organize against, or do you just buy into this? Because I mean, my comment would be where we see successful implementation, people have done their own visions. A lot of the parks are gonna be the same. But have you done this exercise for yourself and said, in 3 years, this is where we're gonna be? And align your organization around it. Because to me, the important message out of both of these is that the exercise has been done, because what we know is you have to start at the end. You have to start with what is the, you know, where are you going to end up, and then you go forward from where you are now. I think the components here are accurate on the transformation, and I think that the fact that Sunnyside had a very, specific, idiosyncratic vision that worked for it was the way to go. So I guess my sense is, I think you all have to do that, and how many of you have done it? How many of you know where you're going to be in 3 years?
And you may not even have to answer that yet, but I think that's an excellent question for you, because each of you need to have your own vision of where you want to be in 3 years. And I think that's a good, not only keeping data of where I said we need to put you and frame it, but where do you want to be in 3 years? And it sounds like a long time, but it goes fast. So this is your, even if you started this a year ago, this really is your year. This is really your year, because you really have come together, and if you're here, your superintendent had a vision that I talked to, or your founder, in this case of the foundation, and I said, join us as we develop our vision together and we learn together. So the good news is, if you're here, there was a vision by your superintendent. But what the real question is, what is the superintendent's vision in the next 3 years? And what of those big ideas will you prioritize? And will you say is embedded in that plan at your district level? That's really the question. And you're going to shape it. You're here today to take some of these ideas back and be able to say, hey, this is what we think about data. Because you're going to hear from Tyler Pulse, and our district has embraced data. And you might ask to say, what does that have to do with one-to-one? And I say everything. Because what we've learned with technology, it needs to be more efficient, it needs to help teachers become more efficient, and it needs to be more automated. And all of that is how we have shaped some of our values as I look at my vision for our district in that sense. Yes?
I'm sorry, just to clarify something. I understand that the one-to-one is this relationship between the student and then one computer, one student.
Yes.
What was the previous, the one-to-one is the solution, something that existed before? How was it done previously?
Well, to frame it in historical terms, and technology has been in education for at least 30 years. Would you say, Elliot, 20 years? I mean, in different ways. And it was desktops, and it was stations, and it was labs, and it was all those things. But in many communities like ours, it wasn't available, because economically speaking, many urban districts couldn't afford it. So it was very costly. So what accelerated our vision is that to really accelerate the learning process, every student needs a computer. That's what it was. Every student needs a computer, and they'll learn different, they'll learn anywhere, anytime. And what you're going to see with us, and I just want to close with the vision thing for a minute. You really do have to have a vision. You have to say what's your vision, because what I've learned is it's going to be different in everybody's community. It's going to be a little bit different on what you can, if you want to say sell, what you can partner with, how you can invest in it, and how much you can champion it is where it's going to be different. What you're going to find in Sunnyside that I think is so unique is that we take, along with the vision of anywhere, anytime, because that's going to speak to time. We believe right now, and I believe, that we have to find the way that kids can take their computer home, teachers can take their computer home, and that they don't have to sit in brick walls anymore to learn and to teach. That's really what I like to think. In 3 years, we're going to be looking at different schedules and different ways of learning and different accountability of time and not just seek time to learn. That people will learn in different ways, from Wi-Fi buses to different days on Fridays in different ways. It sounds radical, but it really isn't with the technology coming today. The second part of this, I think, is if you can picture this in three ways, because this is where I think Elliot sees, and a lot of you see different ways different districts are doing this. Our strand really is Project Red, the 9 indicators that we will pull out and you'll hear more about, and you have heard about them. The Sunnyside way, which is really our way of saying this is what was important for us, this is our design. And the third one is, that's really driving us and it's pulling us in so many different ways, is digital curriculum. We have said it's not enough for Project Red to say you need to open up that laptop and go in the classroom. We said you have to open up that laptop and go to the classroom with this digital curriculum, with this digital way. And that's the new experience that we're offering that you don't see enough of. And this is what Elliot and I have seen, and especially him. There's really no patent and there's no real digital curriculum yet. I mean, it's all just coming out there, and we can't even tell you today what's the best one and why we picked what we picked. We like what we picked, but it's all going to be new, and then add to that digital curriculum, game-based learning. And that's the cutting-edge conversation right now that you're going to hear about game-based learning and how games help kids learn. And the underlying thing is, and here's what we really believe, even in terms of the foundation we're working with, everybody needs a one-to-one device. We really believe that's important. So, and if you're here, somehow your superintendent believes that too. Now, what do you do with that one-to-one device is going to be the challenge, and how do you put digital curriculum on there? But on top of that, it's anywhere, anytime. It's wireless, and it's accessible. It's not a desktop. It's not stationary. It's moving around and learning anywhere, anytime. And the other thing is, it's transforming learning from teacher-centered to student-centered, and that's where Elliot's talking about the digital curriculum on what's going to be different, because there's a lot of one-to-one initiatives out there with no digital curriculum. They're out there and they're saying, here's the one-to-one, and let's go for it. And they're listening to open source, and they said, well, it's all free. But that doesn't work very well, because that open source isn't aligned to the learning standards of your state, or it isn't aligned to anything that has formative assessment sometimes, because it's open source. So, and then the other part of this that you're going to hear from is the professional learning of teachers, the PD. So this is a very good one that really says it all. If you take a vision and you bring it down to some concrete concepts, this is what we believe. In grades 3 through 12 in Sunnyside, for the next 10 years, we're going to do that. And grades kinder through 3 are going to have something else, but they're probably going to have some devices, no question about it. So iPads or phones, all that comes here. The next thing about Sunnyside, and I don't know when our breakthrough will come, but if you want to talk vision, my commitment, my hope, my dream, my vision is that everybody in Sunnyside will have internet. Everybody. A community effort to provide internet, because here's my value, and I believe the value of this board. If this president, who just won re-election, is truly committed to transforming teaching and learning with technology, and he is, then he needs to change the rules of E-rate so that E-rate will be eligible to give to families that can't afford it so they get free internet. Because we'll buy the internet. We'll provide it to our families and get reimbursed in urban communities, because that's what it can do. We're 90% as a district. Now that's, people get nervous about that. They say, why would we do it? Let people pay for it. But we'll never do it in the next 3 years, so it's affordable to our families. Now, good news, we've moved from 20% of our families using the internet to approximately 60%. That's pretty good. But we need to get to 100% if it's really going to work. So that's fundamentally. This, we don't have the economic benefit of this, and we're working on that right now. Sending a computer home. We have families that have 3 computers home now. They go home with 3 computers, 3 laptops, because they're a family of 5. And 3 of their kids are grades 3 through 9. And you know what? That's the economic benefit. And that's going to change how the families shop, how the families do business, and how the families look at technology. Some people look at that, wow, that's too many. No. I mean, if you have a one-to-one philosophy and a one-to-one device, that's their textbook. That's the kids' learning opportunity. So that's been huge. I'm going to share these with you, but I'm going to highlight this because after 3 years, this is what we've learned from one-to-one. One, tech support is very important. And how that goes out to your rollout. We also, and this doesn't explain it right, but you also have to look at positions in your district that have to be what we call repurposed. So we take a library clerk and we change them to library, what's the new title? Media clerk technician. Media center technician. So we changed their job description, we changed their training, and we said it's not enough to work on just textbooks anymore or library books and shelf. We have taken 22 positions and we have said you have 1 year, and this sounds, I'm just doing this for time. It sounds too harsh, but this is what we did. You have 1 year to change and get the new job. We've trained some of them. Some of them have left that position because they didn't want to learn. They said it's not for me. They want to be an administrative assistant or a library assistant or a secretary. But we've said 22 positions will now be changed to library clerk or media center technician. That was a big thing for us, but it was more symbolic than it was purposeful. 2, we really believe right now, and I've heard this in many presentations I've done over the last 6 months, 2 things we really are glad we've done. We put CompuTrace on every computer, and we put, what's the other thing I want to say? Oh, the warranty. So there's a warranty on every HP, every big computer we have, and CompuTrace. So our theft is minimal, because anytime a computer's lost, it's replaced and guaranteed. Big investment up front, but it's really helped minimize anybody saying, you're losing computers. No, every computer that's stolen, if it's stolen, the money's given back to us in terms of our insurance. Every computer that's damaged, there's a warranty on it. So every computer has a warranty. Those are 2 things I never would do different. We have HP certified self-maintenance repair plan. We've set it up internally. We have student leadership team and tech teams you're going to hear about. This is the fastest one that I love that's going to be taken off on how leadership teams are going to be with students at middle school who work on computers and help promote that, and you're going to be hearing from them. You're going to hear more of these as we go along in terms of our community transformation, and this one, it looks on the bottom, but I really invested in digital curriculum and game-infused learning. And I think that is probably the biggest thing that we have. Keep going. So you're going to have some of these as we talk about it. Now this one looks a little busy, but it's probably one of the best things we've done, as you heard me say last night, is we put coaches embedded in our system. So district technology coaches, you've heard, we have 5 of them. We have what's called TTFs. This was a teacher we took out of the classroom who had an interest in technology, and we trained them, and now they're an elbow-to-elbow coach on the site. We have the IT trainers or that still work with training. The librarian is going to be part of this, the media center technician, and what I don't see here is, and the instructional technology coaches. So all coaches are now instructional technology coaches, and they're being moved into it. So you're going to have more on this, and the team's going to elaborate about PD and the importance of it, but PD with coaching. That was the student technology team. We're going to come back to Project Red. Keep going. We'll come.
The video is next to it.
No, let's come back so that when they do this, they'll do it then. If that's okay.
You want Project Red?
No, I want to go to the 9 things that I think that are on there. We're going to go to Project Red. over the next few days. But the, I'm talking about the 9 strands of ours.
Oh, okay.
I think it comes in.
10.
Are there? Kind of as we close with, as I talked to you about the things we've learned, these are probably the most important things as we frame it that we'll replicate with you. And this is what Elliot's going to talk a little bit about, is our design on how we've launched, our structure, how we've designed it around PD, but our blueprint, our infrastructure. This one's obviously minimally stated, but very important to us. We've had some real bandwidth problems. We've opened them up. Javier is going to talk a bit about that, and policy development, leadership and change management. This is ongoing with all your principals in terms of change management. This is the coaching, teaching, support. I mentioned digital curriculum, the PD, and I'm going to be real explicit just for a minute. PD and coaching are 2 different things. PD is what you're going to hear today. PD is atomic learning. PD is Reading Plus. PD is data from Tyler Pulse. That's the PD topics. Coaching is having people understand how to implement those topics and mentoring them. So those 2 different things. Some people put PD under coaching, but it's the substance, the content, and the coaching, and that's what makes Sunnyside unique. We have taken that and split it. Now, we've had our challenges with the split because the coaches have to keep up with the topics, and that's been our challenge. Because we have so much substance coming in that the coaches are having a hard time juggling the number of different digital curriculums and the things coming on, but they've adapted very well, and that's probably our biggest challenge. We're going to talk about Project Red. As I said to you, these 2, I would submit to you, you go anywhere, you're not going to hear those 2 much in one-to-one. You're not going to hear those 2 much in technology. And that is family and community engagement. What we do very well here is engage our community. What we do very well here is find better ways to engage our community. And so this one is why laptops go home. In some one-to-one communities, they don't send them home. They use them in the classroom. We believe in family and community engagement. It's a big one, and we'll talk a little bit about this. And then you've heard me say enough about marketing and messaging. How going out and sending that on your website and doing everything is so important. Go ahead. What's after this one? Just the parent engagement piece with the parent app. I think that's just coming right now. And then I would go to the, we just mentioned that, but I would go to the, we'll close on the, I think that video about, this is just mobile in our parent link app, but I would go to the, do you still have that?
Broccoli video?
Yes, the broccoli video. We'll close with this one. This was something Mary showed me, and one of our digital curriculum providers sent us this video that I'd like you to see. I think it's a great way to end. Look at this. You had it, Mary.
Uh-oh.
Did it work?
Yeah, I used my battery.
Mm-hmm.
is one of our digital curriculums, but I really think it does an excellent job of framing what we believe that teachers who are frustrated teaching the traditional way of math will find new ways to teach with digital curriculum. More adaptive, more automatic, and easier. And that can be used with literacy and math. But I'll say right now, literacy doesn't have the same attitudinal problems of kids getting discouraged by it. I mean, we see great progress, and our challenge with literacy is catching them up and making sure that the gap doesn't widen as they leave 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. And with tech-assisted intervention, which you're going to hear a lot about, I think is a great way of dealing with that. Math, on the other hand, has an attitude problem where kids get so frustrated, as they're saying right now, and give up and fake it as they get through the elementary grades and then go in middle school and high school. So both of those, I believe, can be solved with one-to-one in so many different ways. So we're going to close right now. It kind of, we hope, frames it, both for our partners and for everybody. And I think as the partners and all of you come in, how does this, what we're saying here, fit into the context of your, if you will, product? How does this fit? And so all we ask is that you align it so that the replication districts can see the benefit of that in their own special way, and I'm sure they will. So, Mary, what's next now? We're starting to.
I'm under the counter.
Any questions so far? Yes, please.
I want to go back to vision and Elliot's question, and is from San Carlos's perspective, part of our belonging to the consortium is about enthusiasm, because if you have a vision and you have no enthusiasm, then it doesn't matter. And so for us to be here, it's to absorb from you all the enthusiasm that you have for what you're doing. And I agree that we will tweak whatever doesn't fit for us inside of our vision. But part of it is also seeing somebody else's vision and hearing it with that enthusiasm, so that we can take that energy back to our system. And sometimes we get bogged down in the day-to-day work, and it's nice to step back and see the bigger picture from time to time.
Thank you, Richard. And that's a real good point, as the synergy of the different groups can come together, and that's why we felt equally that the replication was so important to us, so that we didn't always feel we were in it by ourselves. And that in different ways, either through the reservation and the foundation, and really going outside the norm to say, let's work with that group too, to Kokomo, Indiana, which is a different district, a long way away, but also has the same vision of transforming that community to Yuma High School District and to San Carlos. So I want to say it's a reciprocal interest and a reciprocal need as we all come together, because I'm telling you, there are very few districts that have this kind of experience coming together and learning by doing. So thank you very much, and I want to welcome you to what I hope is two fruitful days, very productive days. But you know, as we say to the students, it's all up to you now. It's all up to you to take the appetite and to integrate it into your needs as you go back and as you learn over the next few days. So we have some very, very talented people around here to pick their brains, to talk to them, and we can always adjust. I think we have the back channel input too, that you can ask questions, and we can build them in there as we go along. So let's turn it back. Thank you very much. And again, welcome to Sunnyside, welcome to innovation, and welcome to what I believe is a great, great synergistic group of people coming together for the next 2 days to really set a new kind of definition of what one-to-one can be on different parts of this country.